Hey guys, Florida Mortgage Gal here. Today I am going to be breaking down what your pre-approval means. So if you're in the pre-approval process, you just got pre-approved, no matter where you are in it, listen up. This is going to be an extremely important video to help you be able to shop smarter, not harder. Let's jump in. All right, so you've got your documents together, you submitted them to the lender sent you a pre-approval letter. Congratulations, you've been pre-approved for $400,000 or $250,000 or whatever that amount is. Now, the other thing that you'll notice on that pre-approval letter, besides the purchase price, is also the loan type. And some lenders will also put your down payment amount or your total out of pocket on there. This is where I want to break it all down and why you'll see one over the other. Let me start out by saying that this is one of the biggest misconceptions in the pre-approval process. You are not approved for that purchase price. You are approved for a monthly payment. That's because when you're pre-approved based off something called a debt-to-income ratio. The debt-to-income ratio means that that lender calculated how much money you make gross and then started subtracting out other debts that you have, liabilities. Maybe it's a car payment, credit card payments, a certain amount because you have student loans that you owe on, even if you're not making active payments on those. Whatever that is, that lender came up with a number of how much you're pre-approved for. Now, this also applies for the non-conforming loans. If it's a bank statement loan or any of the portfolio loans, we still calculate based off a debt-to-income ratio. But for the rest of this video, I'm really going to focus on conventional FHA, VA, and USDA because that is the bread and butter of loans out there. When you're pre-approved for one of those loans, you'll get pre-approved for a monthly payment because that's how Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD, those are the rules that they pass out to all lenders across the nation on how to calculate the pre-approval. How exactly does that work? Well, let's say we took all of that together, we came up with you are pre-approved for up to a $2,800 a month payment. That payment could look very different depending on the type of home that you're looking for, because of what is inside of that payment and how it breaks down. So you've got 5 different parts to that payment. You've got the principal, the interest, the taxes, the insurance, and then the homeowners association, or what we call it the association. So PITIA, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, association. When we translate that, we see that, well, let's say we knock off that association bit. Well, there's more money left over for the PITI, right? There's no A involved. Or let's say that's a new construction home where your insurance is practically nothing. Maybe it's $100 a month or less, or a condo where you have really cheap insurance. Well, now there's more money allocated for the other portions. In pre-approving people, I really want to make sure that that's understood, as well as the purchase price, or at least an estimated purchase price of what you can get for that money. Because by this alone, just by the insurance and the association, you can see that there can be a huge shift in how much you can get approved for. I mean, a rule of thumb is you can ballpark, depending on where interest rates are, and the higher interest rates go, the less this is going to be exact, but typically you get about $20,000 of loan amount for $100 a month on your payments, or now we're getting closer to that $150 a month at this point. But what I'm saying is it takes a whole lot of money to move your payment $100 a month. Or if you look at 2 different homes, they both have HOAs, one has $200 less than an HOA, then you can easily finance close to an extra 40 grand on one home with the lower HOA than you can on the other home with the higher HOA. This also is very important when you're analyzing your own personal budget. So why is this even important? Why are we going over this? Because at the end of the day, you still need the lender to break down what your price tag for that property is going to be. Well, it's because I want you to work with your lender on understanding that price tag before you commit. Because the last thing we want is for you to go under contract on a home and it have a monthly payment that you're not okay with. Maybe they told you that you were pre-approved for a $300,000 home, but this home has extremely high taxes, extremely high insurance, and extremely high HOA, on top of an interest rate that's higher than rates have been in a long time. That can be a very high payment very quickly, and you might be thinking that you're going into a place that has a $2,000 a month payment, and it might be edging close to a $4,000 a month payment. You don't want to go under contract and then wait a few weeks to find that out. I mean, that can be the difference of you pulling out of the contract or not. It might not be something that fits in your lifestyle, even if you're approved for it. And then another reason to figure that out at the beginning before you go under contract versus later on is as soon as you go under contract, you start spending money. You've got to pay for inspections on the homes. Even if it's a new home and a new construction, you still should get an inspection on the home. It was built by humans. You want to get it checked out. You've got appraisals coming up around the corner. Maybe you're in a VA loan, you have to pay for a termite inspection, or it's an FHA home and you're paying for a water test, maybe it's manufactured home and you're paying for an engineer certificate. You've got these expenses where you're paying third-party individuals to come check out the home and make sure it's in great shape. And if you don't know that you love the payment, but now you're shelling out this money and then you've spent $1,000 and then the lender comes back to you and says, hey, here's your paperwork, go ahead and sign, we're gonna move this thing forward. And you look at it and your eyes bulge out of your head because you didn't know what that monthly payment is. Because a $250 home, a $300, whatever price tag you wanna say, if you have two homes at the same purchase price, they can be extremely different monthly payments. With that, let's transition to something else very important, property taxes. Now, this is one of the top complaints in the mortgage industry or in the real estate industry. People don't understand their property taxes and then are surprised because their taxes go up after they purchase the home. So let's break all of that down. How are your property taxes assessed? And again, remember, we're going this from Florida perspective, Florida mortgage gal, so we're talking in that light. It does work similarly in other states, but it's not always going to be the same state by state. In Florida, you have something called a homestead exemption. Homestead exemption means that you get $50,000 of your primary residence tax-free, or $50,000 of the assessed value tax-free technically. It also means that your property taxes are capped by a maximum of a 3% increase year over year versus the 10% otherwise. So homestead, you get $50,000 of assessed value tax-free, you get that 3% cap. Without homestead, it can go up by up to 10% every year, and you also don't get that exemption on your taxes. Now, there are other things that you can get exemptions for. If you are awarded disability from the US military, if you're a widow, there's many different things that you can get those discounts on your taxes for. Sometimes you can avoid the taxes altogether, but go ahead and reach out to your county's property appraisers for more detail. If you just type in, Marion County Property Appraiser or Osceola County Property Appraiser, it should be the first links that pop up. Just click on it, give them a call. They'll be more than happy to help you with any other exemptions that you have, or you can just poke around at their websites. Most of them are pretty tech friendly. Let's go back to this. So we were talking about how property taxes go up after closing and how that's one of the biggest complaints out there from new homeowners. When you are looking at a property, that property has a tax bill every single year. In Florida, it comes out once a year, November 1st. That's when your taxes are officially announced. Now, you can see the proposed tax bill. I believe it comes out in the beginning of October. I think it's October 1st is when you'll see the proposed, maybe the end of September. But anyways, if you go to your local property appraiser's website, you can see it coming up and you can see the past few years of tax bills. You can also see the last time that home sold. You can see the history of the sales. You can see the assessed value. There's a lot of different information that you can find on there. That's very helpful. But the moral of the story is the county is trying to keep track of how much your home is worth. And honestly, the only times that it really is able to figure that out, the only times the county sees that value is every time the home sells. Every time the home sells, not only does it reset to a new owner, but it also alerts the county saying, hey, the home that you had is worth $200,000 a couple years ago, 5-10 years ago, last time it sold. Well, now it just sold for $500,000. Make sure that you, Mr. Property Appraiser, are taking a higher assessed value of the home. Fun fact, this doesn't happen on a refinance. This is just on a sale. That's the only time the county gets alerted of this. When you have a home, let's say that it was sold for that $200,000 a while ago, typically the assessed value is going to be around 80% of whatever it sold for. So now you're at 160. Let's say that person had the property homesteaded, only $110,000 of value that was being taxed on, and they had it homesteaded where it had that 3% cap year over year for however much time that they own the home. And those property taxes are maybe $1,200, $2,000 a year. Well, that's actually a pretty cheap tax bill for a home that now is on the market for $500,000. You can look at a lot of different factors on why taxes have gone up so much. But at the end of the day, what you can do just to see what they are going to be for you is you go to that property appraiser's website. Somewhere on there, you'll find a tax calculator. If you can't find it, reach out to me. I'll help you find it. But you type in the purchase price there, and then you let them know if it's going to be homesteaded or not. We can do a whole nother video on portability, but portability is basically when you transfer one homestead to the new homestead and you get extra credits for that. Ultimately, if you type in your purchase price, you can type in if you're going to be homesteaded or not, and it will give you an output of how much it thinks that your property taxes are going to go up to. Again, if there's other exemptions that you have, that VA disability, there's other things that can completely change it from that equation. But for most people, that's how it's going to go down. From there, you can kind of get an idea of where you're going to be going because you look at it and say, okay, this property had a $1,200 a year tax bill, $100 a month, just for example, in easy numbers, $100 a month on the property taxes. My payment is $2,400 a month because my loan officer is using the old tax bill because they don't have the new tax bill to go off of for certain. $100 a month in my monthly payment out in that PITI payment. Now I'm looking at this calculator here and it's saying that my taxes are going to go up, my property taxes are going to go up to $6,000 a year. Well, that's quite a big jump. That goes from $100 a month to $500 a month. I need to know as the consumer, or you need to know as the consumer, that you need to be okay with that payment rising $400 a month. Again, this is part of why I bring it up, because I think that whenever you're shopping for a home, you need to treat this just like you would any other investment, or with more diligence, because it's one of the largest investments you'll ever make. You want to make sure that it's not going to put you into a position where you're house poor. It's not going to be putting you in a place where you regret this investment. And that's why I'm making this video. I want you guys to be able to understand what your payment means, how to maximize it, pull money from your insurance, find something that's at a cheaper price point for insurance. Maybe it's got impact windows, maybe it's got a newer roof on it, and move some of that money around to where you're pulling from your overhead and actually putting that money towards the asset that's going to appreciate, right? So we take money from our overhead of the HOA or the insurance, or find something with lower taxes, and then that way you're maximizing that payment there, but you're also understanding how your payment's going to transform over time. And the importance of homesteading. Commercial here for Homestead. How do you homestead? Well, you go back to your property appraiser's website. You're going to do this the year after you purchase the home. If you purchase the home January to December of any given year, you're going to wait till the following January 1st to typically the end of February is your window. You go ahead and process the application. It's helpful to go ahead and do those things in the first year, so that way you're ready for when it's time to actually process the homestead exemption. All right, guys, well, good job sticking through all of that. Let me know if you have any other questions, and as always, have a great one. Thanks for joining. Bye.